Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's your boy, Delightful Kiss Boy, and today I'm going to teach you the best way to 100x your money at a craps table in a casino. I'm talking $10 to $1,000, $50 to $5,000, $100 to $10,000. We're going to cover it all, as well as other price points like 2xing, 3xing, etc., etc. So if that sounds interesting to you, stick around and consider subscribing because I cover this kind of stuff all the time on this channel. I do a lot of math and code analysis of gambling games and other types of games. It's always a fun and interesting time. So let's just get into it. All right, what is the point of this video? Is it a strategy guide? Is it going to teach you how to beat craps? Have I cracked the code? Are you going to drain the casino of all of their money? Absolutely not. No system that you use in this game is profitable whatsoever. Anybody who tells you otherwise is full of fucking shit, buddy, and you should stop listening to them, okay? There is no way to beat this game consistently, okay? There are only certain bets that are less worse than other bets. That is all you can hope to do, and I'm not going to, prove otherwise, and I wouldn't recommend using any of the strategies discussed in this video. What I do want to do, though, is find the most likely ways to pull this off given the losing bets at our disposal. All right, now I'm going to be using math and code to do this. Now, why am I doing this? This is a losing game, so what's the point of all this? Well, it's because I've been searching, craps YouTube, or CrapTube, as I like to fucking call it, because it's all bullshit, and there's so many people that have these systems, and what they talk about is opportunity. Opportunity this, opportunity that, because what they say is house edge doesn't matter. It's all about opportunity, and they say things like the pass line and the don't pass line just don't give you the opportunity to get to the dollar amounts that you want to get to. And so I thought, hey, why don't I look at the best way to 100x your money, the most likely way to make it happen, and let's see what bets go into those strategies, okay? And we're going to put a ceiling on different strategies if then they claim to 2x, 3x, 4x, etc., basically a mathematical limit on how likely they are to succeed. So if somebody comes up to you and says, hey, I have a 5x system that works 60% of the time, you can 5x your bankroll almost, guaranteed or some shit like that, you're going to have the tools to know that's full of shit, okay? And then also it's interesting. I don't know, fuck you, all right? So what have I done? It sounds so dramatic in hindsight. What have I done? Well, I hacked the Matrix, baby. I wrote some code, and the code that I wrote finds a sequence of bets that maximizes your odds of hitting a specific target. Now, that's all it's doing. It's not trying to, make the best bets with the lowest house edge. The only thing that it's trying to do is hit an arbitrary number that's determined, right? So if we're 2xing our money, most of the time what I'm trying to do is turn $50 into a certain target amount. So $50 into $100 would be 2xing, $50 into $150 would be 3xing, etc., etc. All right? And that's what this code is seeking to do. And it tells you what to bet for any dollar amount, and I've printed it out in a big spreadsheet. Now you can find this spreadsheet in the description below, and it's going to tell you, hey, if I want to hit $500, whatever your bankroll is, this is the thing that you should bet at the table to maximize your chances of hitting that target dollar amount. So how does it do that? Well, it's a little bit complicated, so I'm going to cover it later in the video. At the end of the video, I'm going to have a little segment I call the Nerd Zone, where people who are interested can stick around and I can nerd out about math and coding. But I understand that that's not everybody's cup of tea, so we're just going to get to the juicy stuff right off the bat. So I'm going to be talking about how the strategies work roughly, and then I'm going to do a little demonstration of me testing it out for 2xing, 3xing, 4xing, 5xing, 10xing, and 100xing your bankroll. And we're going to kind of analyze that, and then I'll get to the nerd zone later. So let's just get into it, okay? Here is how to 2x your money. So this is a screen cap from the spreadsheet that's found in the description. And essentially what you're going to want to do is this. You're starting with $50. We're going to try to turn it into $100. And you're going to start off with an $8 don't pass bet. Okay? $8 on the don't pass line. Now, if a point is set, you're going to lay $42 in odds no matter what the point is. By the way, this is assuming that we're using a 3x, 4x, 5x odds table, all right? It's the most common table you're going to find. So in my previous video, I used a 10x table as an example. I decided to just go with the most common one available. So max odds is 3x, 4x, 5x, all right? So this is what you're going to do. Also, if you don't know how to play craps and you're watching this video, I'll link a video in the description that explains every craps bet, and you can watch that and get a better idea of how things work. Anyway, moving on. From there, pretty much what you got to do is follow the spreadsheet. As you can see here, it's pretty wild, and it's all over the place, and there isn't much of a pattern to it, because this is just straight up what the math tells you is the optimal thing to do at any given point to get to $100, and there isn't much rhyme or reason to it. But we'll talk about some trends later on, alright? So you start off with this, and then just kind of follow what the spreadsheet tells you. In general, though, what you're trying to do is you're essentially trying to make pass or don't pass bets with odds to try to get to $100 in like one or two big bets, right? So that's generally the goal of what's going on here. Now, this strategy has a 49.68 chance of success, which is 0.32% less than a fair bet. A fair bet would be a 50-50 chance of winning $50 versus losing $50. In this case, we have a slightly worse chance of 49.68% chance to win $50 versus losing $50, right? So, without further ado, let me give it a little bit of a whirl. So I'm going to cut to a clip of me trying the strategy out. You're going to see kind of what I do, and we're going to see how many attempts it takes me to get it, all right? So have fun watching that. I'll meet you back in a bit. All right, here we are. We've got our Wizard of Odds Craps app, and I've got my spreadsheet over here that tells me the best way to 2x my $50 bankroll. Now, the balance down here says $10,000. Just ignore that. We're going to be pretending that we have a $50 bankroll, and we're going to be just working to make $50. That's what we're going to be trying to do. So the first thing that we're going to do is we go over here. We see $50 as the bankroll. It says don't pass $8. So let's go ahead and start off with that as our first bet. And let's roll. What do we get? We have a 9. So the point is set on 9, and we go over here. And when the point is a 5 or a 9, we lay $42 in odds. So let's go ahead and do that. So 25, 30, 35, 40, and 42, just like that. And now we roll. We're going to want to see the 7 before the 9. So let's see what happens. 10, nothing. 4, and that's 7. So we go ahead and win that bet. We've won $36, which means that we add 36 to our bankroll, and we scroll down to $86. So what do we do when we have $86? Well, we do $6 on the don't pass. So let's go ahead and do that. $6, and let's roll. Let's see what happens. So point is a 9 again, and so we go over. For a 5 and a 9, we lay $12 in odds. So let's go ahead and do that. $10, $12. Let's roll here. And look at that. We just won. It was just that simple, and we're up $50. Now, that's not always how it's going to go, so let me just do one more just to see if we get a loss. You know, that made it look really good. But let's do another one, see if it's a little bit more rocky, a little bit more interesting. So let's do $8 on the don't pass here, and let's roll it out. So point is a 9 again. I'm thinking this is rigged. No, I'm kidding. So point is a 9, so we put $42 down in odds. So, whoops, not like that. So 25, 30, 35, 40, and 42. All right, let's roll it out. And hit a 9. All right, so that time we got wiped out. And let's do best 2 out of 3 here. All right, so here's the third time. So let's go $8. We roll here, and we immediately lose it. So we've lost $8. So we go from 50 to 42, and our odds drop to 41.69%. So we bet don't pass $6 this time. All right, here we go. Don't pass for 6. Point is set on 4. That's what we like to see. When it's a 4 or a 10, we lay $36 in odds, so we're putting our entire bankroll down here. So 25, 30, 35, and 36. All right, let's see if we can hit our 7. We got 7. All right, so we win $24 total, which brings us up to $66 here. And now we're going to bet don't pass for $9. All right, so 5, 9. All right, let's go ahead and roll. And we immediately lose it because that's a 7 on the come out roll. So we lose $9, which takes us down to, what would that be? $57, I believe. Yep, $57. It says bet the pass line now for $7. So we go ahead and do that. $7 on the pass line, and we go ahead and win $7. So we go up to $64 now. Now we bet the pass line with $6, and we roll. We got 3, so that's a craps number, so we lose our $6 there. And so we drop down to $58, 57.68% chance to win. We bet pass for $6 again. And let's roll here. And we got a 4 as our point. So when the point is a 4, we're going to bet, place $18 in odds here. All right, so let's go ahead and give that a shot. So $15 plus 3. And let's see what we get. 8, 6, 10, 6, 5, 6. That's 9, 8. And that is a 7. So we 7 out and we lose our $24 there. All right, so we drop down to $34. All right, so we got $34 now, and now we have a 33.68% chance to win. And we bet the pass with $9. So 5 up to 9, and we roll here. That's a point is the 5, and it says to place $24 in odds. So let's go ahead and do that. And 4 here. And let's go ahead and roll. We get a 10, and an 8, and a 6, and a 10, or sorry, 9, and then a 3, 6, 2, 11, 3, 9, 4, and 7. So we lose our, how much money was that? That was 9. Okay, so we lost all of our money. So there we go. We lost all of our money except $1. So now we go down to $1. And now we only have a 0.89% chance of winning, and the only option we have to do is hard ways 6 and 8 because we don't have any money left, really. So let's just go ahead and do hard ways 6 and point, well, doesn't really matter what the point is, and we lose. All right, so we've lost all of our money. So there you see, that was a little bit of a longer one, but we got 1 win out of there. I think that was 1 win out of 3, which makes sense when it's about a 50-50. So there you go, pretty good demonstration. Back to the presentation. All right, so you saw the 2x strategy. Let's talk about the 3x strategy. Well, this one is, kind of similar, but we start off with a pass line bet this time. $10 on the pass line to be precise, rather than $8 on the don't pass. This time, we're trying to turn $50 into $150. And if a point is set, we have to make an odds bet. Now, this is, once again, a 3x, 4x, 5x table. So the maximum that we can place for a 4 and the 10 is $30. That's what we're going to do. If the point is a 5 or a 9, we place $40, and if it's a 6 or an 8, we also place $40. Now, why is this? Why don't we place $50 in odds? Well, it's because we only have $50, dipshit. So we can't go all the way up to $50. We have to cap it at 40 for the 6 and the 8, all right? But it's pretty much the same deal as the 2x strategy. It's all just pass and don't pass for the most part. And you kind of just jump around until you either lose all your money or you hit your mark, okay? And overall, you have a 33.06% chance of success following this strategy, which is 0.27% less than a fair bet. And let's just go. Let's take a look at it. I'm going to, jump to a clip of me trying it out. All right. All right, we're back with the 3x demonstration, going from $50 to $150. We only have a 33.06% chance for this to work, so I may do like a time lapse and just show the one where I win, count up the number of times that I've lost. But let's just get into it. All right, so we start with a pass line bet for $10 here. So $10, and let's just roll it out. Let's see what happens. So point is 10. So with a 10, we place full odds for $30. All right, here we go. We got 11 there, we got 4, we got 4, we got 6, we got 6, 9, 5, 12, and we lose. All right, so we lost that bet, so we only have $10 left now, so let's go down to the 10. Pass line with a $5 bet. All right, so $5 on the pass line. Point is set to 10 again, and where are we? We were here right here, and so we put $5 in odds down. All right, so $5 in odds. Let's give it our all. Let's see what happens. And we get it. All right, so we profit $15. We go up to $25 here. All right, and here it says pass line with $5 again. All right, so what do we got? We've got 8 is our point, and so with a point of 8, we put down $20 in odds. All right, so $20 in odds there. Our full bankroll is on the table now, so we're hoping for an 8, but we 7 out and we lose. All right, so let's give it another try here. Let's go back to $50 here. We've got $10 on the pass line to start with, and that's a 9 right there is the point. And when 9 is the point, we put down $40, so full odds here. Let's go ahead and roll all of our money on the table. Let's see what happens. And 6, 4, and that is a 9. So we've won $70. So we go up to $120 now. All right, so $120. And here we have a 79.76% chance of success now. And it says to bet $5 on the don't pass now. All right, so $5 on the don't pass. The point is set to 8. And it says to bet $30 when we get a 6 or an 8. So let's go ahead and do that. $30 on the don't pass, just like that. And let's roll it out. All right, we're hoping for a 7, and we get it. All right, so we have a $30 win there, and that's it. All right, so we got in our second try. That was pretty lucky, but first one, we didn't make it. Second one, we did. So there you go. All right, here we are back, and we're going to look at the 4Xing strategy now. So turning $50 into $200. Now this one, you're going to start off with the $8 on the don't pass again, and $42 in odds, which is similar to the 2X. All right, we'll come back to that in a bit and why that could be. But overall, we have a 24.76% chance of success with the 4X strategy, which is 0.24% less than a fair bet. So we're getting less and less likely for success here, but it's not terrible. It's 1 out of 4. We'll try her out. We'll give her a whirl. Why not? All right, 4X demonstration going from $50 to $200. Let's see if we can do it. Time lapse inevitable, I'm assuming, because we have a 24.76% chance of success. So let's go ahead and get into it. So $8 on the don't pass, just like that. Let's roll. Let's see what happens. That's $5 right there. And the point, or sorry, 5 is the point, excuse me. So when it's a 5 or a 9, we put down $42. That's the case with all of these. So 25, 30, 35, 40, and $42. So let's go ahead and roll. Let's hope we get a 7, and we do get a 7 immediately. So we've won $36, which takes us up to $86 here. So we're at $86, and now we bet $16 on the pass line. We have a 42% chance of winning here. So $16. All right, so 15, 16. Let's roll it out. So the point is a 9. And so when the point is a 5 or a 9, we put down $62 in odds. So let's go ahead and do that. So that's 50, 60, 62. All right, here we go. And hey, we got it immediately. That was pretty lucky. So that's a $109 win, which takes us all the way up to $195. All right, we're looking pretty damn good here. All right, we're at $195. Oh, this is really lucky. All right, so now don't pass for $5. Hope we just get it. Okay, don't pass $5. And the point is a 6. No odds because we just need 5 more bucks. We do lose it though, so we drop down to $190, which is a don't pass for $5 once again. Oops, sorry, $5. There we go. And point is a 10. So when the point is a 10, we put down $10 in odds. So let's go ahead and do that. That'll give us exact ease if we get a 7 here. All right, let's see if we can do it. And we do it. All right, that was extremely lucky. No time lapse required. I swear to God, I'm just doing this the first time. This is deceptive. I almost wish that it wouldn't happen like that because this only had a 24% chance of working. So there you go. But anyway, back to the presentation. All right, we are back, and here is the 5X strategy. We start off with a $10 pass bet. If the point is set, you make an odds bet, $30 for a 4 and the 10, $40 for a 5 and the 9, $40 for the 6 and the 8. Now, you may start to notice a pattern here, and it's kind of interesting, actually. For the 2X and the 4X, we bet don't pass to start off with, and for the 3X and the 5X, we bet pass. Now, why would this be? All right, well, let's think about it for a bit, okay? If you put down $8 on the don't pass with max odds, meaning $42 in odds, generally the number that you're going to arrive at in the case of success is going to be around $100. Now in the 2x case, that's our goal. But in the 4x case, that's also half of our goal. So from $100, we have a pretty high likelihood of being able to make it all the way to our $200 goal with a single bet. And so that's why we start off with the don't pass, okay? Now alternatively, for the 3x and the 5x, we have $150 and $250 as our goals respectively, all right? And so if we start off with a pass line bet, if we succeed, most of our bets are putting us at around the $120 mark or so, all right? Now, for 3xing our money, this is pretty close, relatively close, to $150. It's certainly much closer than the $100 bet. And so we're more likely to make it from that point, to $150 by a good amount. But also, for the $250 mark, it puts us very close to the $125 mark, which is half of our $250 goal. So that's kind of what's going on here, I suspect. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just the math, and that's how the math turned out. But I suspect that the don't pass puts us closer at desirable numbers to hit our goals for the 2x and the 4x, and the pass puts us at closer numbers for the 3x and the 5x. All right? So there you go. Now, overall, we have a 19.78% chance of success of 5xing our money here, which, is close to 1/5, but it's 0.22% less than that, okay? And you know what? 1 out of 5 chance. It's getting less and less likely that we're going to be able to do it, but fuck it, we ball. We'll give it a whirl. All right, cut to the clip. All right, we are back with the 5x demonstration here, and we're starting with $50. We want to get to $250. Now, we only have a 19.78% chance of success here, so this is almost assuredly going to require a time lapse. Let's see if it happens. So it actually didn't take me that many attempts to pull it off, but I figured I'd just speed it up for you so you're not watching like roll after roll in real time. Not quite as interesting when it's not in an actual casino setting or we're just playing with Monopoly money, right? But that's kind of one of the points I want to make, is that this strategy is not suited for a casino setting. You're not going to print out these spreadsheets and bring it with you, all right? Instead, once again, this is to kind of put a theoretical limit on the likelihood of hitting these numbers and seeing what bets work best to make it happen, to kind of quantify opportunity for these different bets. All right? But without further ado, let's just get back to the video. Enjoy. 4 is the point, so we put $5 in odds down. Let's see if we can't get it. We lose immediately. All right, on to the next attempt here. Let's go ahead and refresh. And it's back to $10 on the pass line. Whoops, let's go ahead and clear that. $10 on the pass line here. Point is 4. And we put down $30 in odds once again. So let's go ahead and just max it out. And 3, 5, 5, 8, 9. And it's 9 right there. That's 8 right there. 9, 5, 4. Hey, we won it. All right, so we won $70. We go up to $120. And now we have a 47.73% chance of winning. So we bet the don't pass with $18. So 15, 18. There we go. Let's go ahead and roll that. Well, the point is now 5. And so a 5 or a 9, we put down $102 in odds. All right, so $102 in odds. It's all on the table. Let's see if we get the 7. We do get the 7, which means we win $86, which takes us up to $206 here. All right. So we're at $206. We have an 82.19% chance of winning now. And we bet the pass line with $8. So here we go. $5, $8. Let's go ahead and see if we can do it. And we set a point on the 8. So with a 6 or an 8, we put down $30 in odds here. All right, $30 in odds. Let's go ahead and see if we can hit the 8 before the 7. All right, here we go. What's it going to be? That's a 9 right there. That's a 9 again. 9 again. 4, 2, 10, 2, and that's a 7. Well, that's an 8. Okay, we did it. We did it. And I think that wins us the whole thing. We won $44, which takes us to $250, which is 5 times our bankroll. So there you go. All right, back to the presentation. Good shit. All right, and we are back for 10x. So going from $50 to $500. Pretty big gain there. So we're going to start off with $8 in the don't pass. You know, once again, an even number. So don't pass this time. And $42 in odds that we're going to lay. You get the drill, though. You know, don't pass and pass your way to heaven. All right, which is $500 apparently. And you have a 9.86% chance of success. So a little under a tenth. This is 0.14% less than a fair bet. Now, one thing you're going to begin to notice, potentially, is that this number is getting less and less. So you may think, oh, we're actually getting closer and closer to a fair bet. That's not the case, though, because proportionally, this number is getting larger, this disparity, right? Because, you know, 0.14% off of 10% proportionally is more significant than 0.7% off of like 50%, right? Proportionally, the difference between a fair bet is getting larger, and that's because we have to keep making more and more bets to get to our goal. And the more bets that you make, you're going to be kind of you're going to get dragged down by the house edge more and more and more. And you're getting further and further from a fair bet. So overall, your goal is to kind of make it to your target in roughly the least number of big bets possible. All right? And the more big bets that you got to make to get to your goal, the more the house edge is going to drag you down proportionally. All right? Now, we only have about a 1 out of 10 chance, so may God have mercy on my fucking soul. I'll give it a whirl. Let's see how many times it takes me to get it. All right, and here's the 10x demonstration. We have a 9.86% chance of success, so I'm going to strap in. All right. All right, so this time lapse goes on for a while, so I figured I'd just kind of pop in and keep you all company. All right. And I just want to talk about, I don't know, the value of live rolls on different demonstrations, right? So if you go onto YouTube and you look up some craps videos, it's usually going to be people that are showing you a given strategy. They're going to show you the outcomes of a, you know, specific number of rolls that they do at a table, right? They can either be their own table or maybe they'll be at a casino or whatever, right? And generally what they're going to be showing you is like when it works, okay? Not always, you know, and sometimes they're keeping them with real live rolls and you're just getting whatever results they get. However, I don't really think that this is a very valuable demonstration of how, quote-unquote, well the system works, right? Because as we saw earlier, when I had like a 20% chance of success, I got it like first try, right? This time, it's a 10% chance to succeed, but it takes me more than 10 times, right? So there's like kind of an expected value, expected number of attempts that something is going to take before it works, right? But sometimes it's going to be way less than that, sometimes it's going to be way more than that, because at the end of the day, every single attempt is independent, right? So just because I have like 20 attempts on a given strategy doesn't mean it's any more likely to hit, right? That's the definition of the gambler's fallacy. Expecting independent events to basically influence each other, you know? Saying that something is due. And so, they could just get lucky with their system, right? It's not going to be representative of what your actual, you know, average outcome is going to be. Really, the best way to look at these systems, if you're going to look at them at all, because I am dubious about the value of any craps betting system, but if you're going to do that, you just want to look at the math. You don't want to look at anecdotal evidence, you know, of how well it worked for so-and-so. It doesn't fucking matter, right? The people will say, oh, you know, you can't just focus on the math. You have to actually do rolls to see how it works out. That's complete bullshit. The entire game is math, okay? When it comes down to the outcomes, obviously there's like the fun aspects, etc., etc., but this game is just math, and so not focusing on the fundamentals is the problem, right? It's the difference between, you know, going out and interviewing 2 people and interviewing, you know, millions of people, right? So the math is interviewing millions of people so you can understand more on a fundamental level what's going on. Interviewing a couple people is like rolling out the system and seeing what happens and using it as evidence that's a good system, right? So why did I do it in this video? Well, it's just kind of, you know, because it was a little bit entertaining to watch, etc., and it's also more to demonstrate how I'm using the sheets and just kind of my outcomes. But at the end of the day, what you want to focus on is the math, and I'm going to wrap this up because the time lapse is coming to a close, so enjoy the rest of the video. Alright, so point is now 5, so we bet $54 in odds, which is all of our money except $1. Okay, and we lose. Alright, so we go down to $1 now, where we do a hard ways 6, which we're hoping for the 6, but we lose. Okay, we lost that one. So we go back to $50. Alright, so we bet the don't pass with $8. Okay, $8 on the don't pass here. Point is now 6, so we do $42 in odds. Just like that. Let's roll it out here. And we win. Alright, so we win $43, which takes us to $93. And now we bet the don't pass, $15 on the don't pass. Okay. Point is 9, so we put down $78 in odds. And there we go. Boom. That's our entire bankroll. Hoping for the 7, and we get the 7. Alright, so $67, which is going to take us to, what would that be? $160 now. $160. So we bet $23 on the don't pass. Okay. Boom. $23 on the don't pass. And we win that. Alright, so we win $23, which takes us to $183. Which means we bet $27 on the don't pass now. Boom. Okay, let's see what happens. And that pushes, so $27 on the don't pass now. Point is now 10, and so we lay $156 in odds. $156. Alright, that's our entire bankroll, so we're hoping for the 7 here. Obviously. Alright, let's see what happens here. And we win. Alright, so we win $105, which takes us to $288. Alright, cool. $288. And so now we're more likely to win than not, so let's see what happens. Alright, so we bet $42 on the don't pass. Yep, $42 on the don't pass. 42, okay, there we go. Point is now 8, so we put down $204 in odds. So $204 in odds here. Hoping for the 7 here. And we get it. Alright, so $212. And I think that's it. I think we did it. Alright, because that's, yeah, that's $500. So we've successfully 10x'd our money after that many attempts. I don't think I'm going to have it in me to do the 100x, but we'll see. We'll see. Back to the presentation. Alright, and finally we are back with our 100x strategy right here for all to see. Now, one thing to note. I am doing $10 to $1,000, and that is because doing $50 to $5,000 was taking fuck ever on my shitty computer. Now, my code's a little unoptimized. There's definitely some optimizations that I could do. But I kind of wanted to make this video sometime within the next millennia, so I decided to speed it up by cutting the starting amount to $10, okay? Now, to kind of make up for this, I have reduced the minimum bet. So in the previous trials, the minimum bet was $5. Alright, so assuming you're playing at like a $5 table, 5 to 5,000. This right here is saying the minimum bet can be $1. Now the reason I did this is so we can have more of an apples to apples comparison between, you know, $10 and $50, right? Essentially what you can do is if you wanted to apply this to $50, you can just kind of multiply everything by 5. It's not exactly the same because the granularity is a little bit less here, right? But it should give you a rough approximation of what you should do starting with a $50 bankroll. To note, if you for some reason wanted to follow these strategies for different, you know, starting totals, you could scale them up by just multiplying basically every number on the spreadsheet, every dollar amount, I should say, by a certain scaling factor. But anyway, with this $10 to $1,000, here we go. All right, let's take a look at what we start with. Well, we start with a $2 bet on the pass line. These things in parentheses would be if you scale it up for $50. And if a point is set, you place $6 on the 4 and 10 in odds, $8 for the 5 and 9, and $8 for the 6 and the 8. So this is interesting because it kind of broke the pattern. Earlier, we saw that every even multiple, we were starting with a don't pass, and every odd multiple, we were starting with a pass line bet. Well, I think that this is probably because essentially what you're trying to do with these strategies is you're kind of trying to get onto a track that is kind of like a factor of, you want to get to a number that's a factor of your target number, right? So for example, if we're trying to get to $1,000, getting to $100 is going to be beneficial because 100 is a factor of 1,000, right? And it's going to be even better if the number that we get to is a factor of the number we're trying to hit, and also one of our bets gets us to that number, you know, in just a couple bets, right? So for example, you know, the odds on the 4 and the 10 pay 2 times, right? So I think what is generally happening is that pass versus don't pass gets us to a close to a factor of $1,000, which is $25, but it also gets us further ahead in general if it succeeds. So with the pass line, we have a lower probability of success than the don't pass, but when we do succeed, we get further ahead. And that's more important the further out your target is, right? Because you want to get ahead and you just want to kind of close the gap on your target, and that should overall increase your odds. Once again, this is speculation. You can look through the spreadsheet and let me know if you have a different explanation for it, but that's what the math points to, baby. So anyway, we have a 0.97% chance of success, which is, well, I guess I didn't put the difference there. I just said fuck this because I don't really want to do this, all right? Because I only have I have a less than 1% chance of success. Do I really want to be sitting here playing with Monopoly money all day? But I'll give it a whirl. I'll probably give up, but I'll let you know. All right, here we are with the 100x table. I'll give it a shot. I'll give it a couple shots. No promises that I'll do the whole thing, turning a $10 into $1,000, but I'll give it a few tries and then probably give up after a bit. But here we go. 56 attempts later. So with $2 on the don't pass, and point is a 10, we lose that, okay? We start over. I'm going to give it like 3 more tries, and then I'm calling it. All right, so we got $2 there. Win $2, go to $12 now. Yeah, okay, I was already on 12 there. So $2 on the pass line, and we win that, so we go to $14. So now $2 on the don't pass line, and that's 8 is the point, so we put down $12 in odds, our entire bankroll here. So $12 in odds here, and let's see what we do. Okay, show me the money, baby. All right, we win. Okay, so we won 12 bucks, which takes us to $26. So we put $6 on the pass line here. $6 on the pass line. And point is now 6, so we put down $20 in odds. Boom. All right, let's see what happens here. $20 in odds, our entire bankroll here. Let's see if we can't hit our point, and we do. Okay, so we win 30 bucks. So now we go up to $56. So $56 here. And now we put down $8 on the don't pass. Okay, so $8 on the don't pass. Here we go. Point is now 8. So we put down $48 in odds. So boom, boom, boom. 48. So 3 more dollars, our entire bankroll here. And let's get the 7. Hopefully we can get the 7. We do. Okay, so we won $48. So that is $104 that we're at now, I think. Yep, $104. Dollary dues. Let me just make sure that's correct. That would be... yeah, $104. Okay. Now it's... interesting. $1 on the pass. Okay. Okay. $1 on the pass. That's what it says to do. All right, so the point is now 10. And with 10, we don't put anything down. All right, so we keep rolling, and we win. Okay, we win $1. So we go up to $105 here, and now it's don't pass for $15. All right. Don't pass for $15. All right, so now the point is 9. And so we put down $90 in odds. Lay $90 in odds here. Boom. Hoping for the 7 before the 9. All right, give me the 7. And we get it. Okay, so we win $75 here. $75 takes us to $180. Which here we got don't pass, $26 on the don't pass. All right. $26 on the don't pass, and now the point is 6. And so we lay down $150 in odds here. Okay. Here we go. Let's see what happens. We win. Okay, we won $151, which takes us to $331. Yep, $331 here. Okay. There we go. 331 bucks. And we put $49 on the don't pass. So 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, and 49. All right, so $49 on the don't pass, which we lose. And so we lost $49, which what? Takes us to $282. Yep, 282 bucks here. Okay. Here we go. So now it's $42 on the don't pass. Okay, so 25 bucks, 30, 35, 40, and 42. Okay, let's see what we can do here. We lose that, which takes us to $240. And we put down $36 on the don't pass. So 35, $36. Let's see what happens here. All right, so we win that. So that is $276 now. $276. There we go. Now it says $1 on the pass line. All right. And we win. Okay, so we go up to $277, which is $40 on the don't pass. Okay. $40 on the don't pass, and we lose that. So now we go down to $237. All right, so we put $1 on the pass line. Okay. Point is 10, so we put down nothing in odds here. And let's see what happens. We lose that. All right, so we go to $236, which is another $1 on the don't pass. Point is now 8, and so we put down $6 in odds. All right, so $6 in odds here. And let's see what happens. Okay, and we win. Okay, so we win $6, which takes us to $242. $35 on the don't pass. All right. $35 on the don't pass, which we lose, which takes us to $207. $207. Yep. Let's see what we got. All right, so $1 on the don't pass. Okay, here we go. And we win that, so now it's $38 on the pass. Okay, so 25, 30, 35, and $38 on the pass, which wins us $38, which takes us to $246. Which is $36 on the don't pass. So 25, 30, 35, $36 on the don't pass. And the point is now 5. So we put down $210 in odds. All right, let's see what happens. Okay, that's our entire bankroll. So hoping for the 7 here. And we get it. All right, so we win $176. So that's $422 here. $422, right? Yep. Okay. Now it's $82 on the pass line. Okay, so 75, 80, and then $82 on the pass line here. Point is now 5, and so we put down $328 in odds. $325, $28 in odds. That's most of our bankroll. And we lose it all. Okay. So now we have $12. $12. We go all the way. Easy come, easy go. And now we got $2 on the pass line. And let's see if we can't make a comeback. All right, so the point is now 5. And so we'll put down $8 in odds. Here we go. Boom. And we win. Okay, so we won $14, which takes us to $26 here. Working our way back up, baby. Slowly but surely. So it's $6 there. And we lose that. Okay, so now we go back down to $20. So we bet $4 on the pass line here. And we win $4. So we go to $24. $4 on the pass line again. And point is now 6. So we put down $20 in odds. $20 in odds. That's our entire bankroll. And we lose it all. All right. Well, I think that's enough of this. We get the idea. It's a long shot. And there's some kind of odd parts where you're only betting like $1. But I think it's to try to like get to a point where you're, you know, making multiple successive bets for like your entire bankroll, and it's a little bit more favorable. I mean, it's basically like trying to make it so you're not like overshooting later and that sort of shit. But anyway, back to the presentation. Alright, so you saw me toil around with the 100x strategy. I didn't pull it off. But let's take a look at some of the trends between all the different strategies, alright? Well, the first thing you'll notice is that pretty much every strategy only uses the pass line and the don't pass bets with odds, alright? Occasionally, very occasionally, use the hard ways bets when we get into what I'm calling the strug zone, alright? And that is when you get below the minimum bet amount. So, for those who don't know, there's usually a table limit, which is about $5, $10, depends on your table. What's happening here is if we get below that table limit, what you can do is you can make proposition bets or hard ways bets for like $1 a pop, alright? So we could kind of just use that to try to get out of there and get back to our pass and don't pass bets. Additionally, when you get really close to your target but aren't quite there yet, you may switch to an any 7 bet or a lay 4 or 10 bet, just when we're short of it. Now, the reason we do a lay 4 or 10 is pretty obvious. It's because it's actually the most likely bet on the table to succeed, alright? It's because you have a 66.66 repeating percent chance of winning that bet, which would put you at the $1,000 mark, or I guess whatever goal you have mark, right? And also the any 7 bet is a bet that you can take for $1, and it's the most likely proposition bet. So you're betting a small amount. You're probably not going to do it, because I think it's like a 16% chance of success. But if you do, you make it to your target. If not, you kind of drop just a little bit and you can make it with a better bet to your target. Exacties, right? Any 7 bet, by the way, kind of sucks in general, but it's used here a little bit. What you're going to notice, though, is that there were no place bets used. Isn't that interesting? Earlier I was saying that people were talking about how place bets give you opportunity, whereas the pass and don't pass, they may have a better house edge, but they don't give you opportunity. But here we see that by the math, place bets nowhere to be found in these strategies. And I would say 100xing your bankroll is a, pretty good opportunity, all right? Putting it in their terms. Well, just to kind of prove this, I ran the code again to generate strategies when you have no pass line bets or don't pass bets at your disposal. And so let's see how that turned out. So I'm going to go ahead and cut to a segment where I'm just going to kind of go through those different strategies. What you can do is you can find these strategies in the spreadsheet, in the description. They're all labeled like no pass, all right? So I'm going to turn it over to me in the future explaining this shit. All right, so if you want to find these tables, they're all labeled no pass, 2x, 3x, 4x, etc. in the spreadsheet. You can take a look at them, but let's just briefly notice any patterns here, okay? So you can see here we have the place 6-8 as our starting point for $43. And that's weird, right? Because with a place 6 or 8 bet, what you want is you want your bet to be divisible by 6. Well, why is it 43? Well, it's because with $42, we come up like $1 or $2 short, all right? Because it pays out 7 to 6. So all of a sudden, we're getting, what was that, $49 plus $50, we're $1 short. And so we add on the additional $1 of the bet, and we're getting, a higher house edge because the casino rounds down, but it allows us to get to $100 in one single bet because we'll win $50 off of this rather than $49. So there you go. But if you look through this, most of the bets that you're going to see are going to be a place 6 or 8. Now there's also hard ways 6 and 8 as well. And these kind of are just to be kind of a long shot bet that will kind of push us back on track and click us back onto our place 6/8 bet journey, okay? The heavy lifting with these strategies is all done by the place 6/8 bets, all right? And that's because placing the 6 or the 8, that has a lower house edge than any other place bet. I also included buy bets, and buy bets are going to be better for a 4 or 10, but none of those popped up here either. It's just place 6 and 8, okay? Additionally, there are some field bets that are taken advantage of as well, but once again, these are mostly to kind of push us onto our main bet, which is the 6 or the 8. And these are our big bets that push us close to our goal of $100 here. Same thing for 3x here, no surprises here. We start off with placing the 6 or the 8 for a full $50, which once again is not divisible by 6. But once again, we're just trying to get as close to our target as possible with each bet, essentially, and we're not really worrying about inefficiencies in house edge and that kind of shit. Now with no pass, we also start off with a big old $50 bet on the 6 and the 8. Place 5, same thing. Or sorry, 5x, same thing. 10x, same thing. Let's just see if there's any surprises here. It's all place 6 or 8, some hard ways, some field bets, nothing else really. You know, you get to the end and you start doing any 7s, any craps, lay bets. Like you can see here, any craps because it pays out 7 to 1, which will kind of push us over the edge here. But you can see here that even though it gives us $7 and we overshoot by 1, we don't want to be doing any craps when we're at $493, because here we can do a bet that is divisible by 6 and get it in one with the place 6 and 8. All right. You know, same thing with the 100x here. We actually start off with a $1 field bet, which is interesting, but I guess that's just how the math works out. But you know, if we win that, usually we're going to jump up to here and we start doing bets that are going to be you know, divisible by 6 and that sort of a thing. So we have a lot further to go. So I'm guessing this is to avoid inefficiencies because we have to get all the way to fucking $1,000 here from $10. But no surprises. Once again, you can see there are more field bets here, but this is once again to kind of click you back onto a factor of 1,000. But yeah, there you go. That's all she wrote. All right, back to the video. All right, so you got the explanation. So let's actually compare the chances of success between strategies with the pass line and the don't pass at our disposal to those without. So 2x, we have a 49.68% chance of succeeding with pass and don't pass at our disposal. 48.97% without. 3x is a similar story. 33.06% versus 32.33% without. And it's the same thing for all of these. You can take a look at these numbers yourself. But what you'll notice is that the numbers aren't like astronomically different, right? They're still within, you know, a ballpark range of each other, but consistently, the betting strategies that utilize the pass and the don't pass do better. Now these ones still do relatively well because actually the placing the 6 or the 8, it's still a pretty good bet. It's not the best bet, as we can see here, but it's pretty good. It has a relatively low house edge, not quite as low as just doing the pass line or the don't pass without odds, but still relatively low. And so these aren't too much worse, but they're still worse. They're still worse. So let's go over some conclusions here. If you're playing the game and you just care about the dollar amount, right? So if you're playing this either to get a big win or, you know, try to make your bankroll last as long as possible or whatever, pretty much your best bet is to just bet the pass or don't pass. This gives you the most opportunity, or, you know, it just gives you the lowest house edge as well. So for your bankroll's health, using the pass or the don't pass line with odds is going to be your best bet over anything else at the table, period. By the math, all right? If you only care about money, if you're talking about fun, that's subjective. I'm just talking about by the numbers, baby. You don't even need a formal strategy, all right? One of the things that people are going to complain about is, okay, well, I don't have control over the point being set, right? Whereas when you use place bets, you can kind of do all this bullshit that makes you feel like you have control over what's going on. But really, formal strategies barely do anything for you. In fact, they're just nonsense most of the time. What you should be doing is just this. If you want to win big at any particular moment, just make a few big pass or don't pass bets, maxing out your odds. That's it. You don't have to think about it any more or less. You don't have to think about how much you're betting. You just look at your bankroll and you say, I want to have the opportunity to win big. The fewer, bigger bets that you make, maxing out your odds, are going to give you the best chance to win big. Period. That's it. If you want your bankroll to last, if you want to be in the casino longer, but you still want to kind of maintain your bankroll as better than other strategies, you're going to want to make lots of small pass or don't pass bets with some odds that you're going to throw in here at your discretion. Once again, it doesn't really fucking matter. Just do whatever you want, right? At the end of the day, this is a losing game, and there's no way to consistently win. All right, so if you have fun making place bets because they pay out more, go ahead and do that. I'm not here to stop you. I am just here to say that if you're deluding yourself by thinking that your place bet strategy is better mathematically than somebody betting the pass or the don't pass line, you're just plain wrong. You're just plain wrong, okay? And if you think you need a formal strat to be successful in the game, you don't, because nobody's going to be successful in this game on average. All right? So just have fun. But, if you're like, oh, my place bet strategy is the best strategy out there, just shut the fuck up. All right? Just shut the fuck up. Okay? So, with that being said, we're going to go to the nerd zone. Now, I'm going to give the opportunity for anybody who doesn't give a fuck to clear out. All right? But for those who are curious how I computer this shit, I'm going to kind of briefly cover it, and I'm going to try to make it make sense, but let me know if you have any questions in the comments, but I'll do my best here, because it's a little bit complicated, but hopefully not too complicated. So, how did I compute this? I like to think of it kind of like a board game, all right? And the board game here is kind of representative of what's going on when you're betting, all right? And I'll explain, why in a sec. So we have our board here. There are 5 different spaces that you can go to. And we're going to start in space 3. Now, what we want to do is we want to get to space 5 because it has a nice, big, crisp, juicy dollar bill waiting for us. Can you imagine? You can buy a quarter of a Red Bull at 7-Eleven with that shit. Now, in the black square, conversely, we have eternal damnation. All right? It's just got to happen. It's something we got to risk to get our dollar, right? And what we want to do is we want to get to this end by rolling a dice, okay? And we have 2 different actions that we can take to move on this board. The first action is to stroll, all right? And this gives you the opportunity to move forward 1 space, or alternatively, you move back 1 space. Now, why does strolling move you back 1 space sometimes? I don't know, maybe you're in a fucking maze. Use your imagination, all right? Do I have to fill in all the blanks for you? I mean, it's my video, so I probably should, but who cares, okay? So, what's going to happen is you're going to roll 1 dice, okay? And if you get a 5 or a 6 on the dice, you get to move forward 1 space. If you roll anything else, so 1, 2, 3, or 4, you're going to move back 1 space, and, you're going to be closer to damnation. Now, alternatively, you can sprint, all right? And sprinting gives you the opportunity to move forward 2 spaces, or backwards 2 spaces. I don't know, I guess you're in the maze, and if you're sprinting around, you're less careful, and maybe it puts you back further. I don't fucking know. Now, similarly to strolling, you're going to roll 1 6-sided dice, but now we only move forward if we roll a 6, and we move forward 2 spaces. If we roll anything else, 1 through 5, we move backwards 2 spaces. Okay? So, my question is, we have these 2 decisions that we can make from any spaces here. What are our odds of winning from position 3, and what action should we take? So think about it for a sec. Now, you may be inclined to think that you should sprint. Okay, now why is this? Well, if you sprint from this position, you have a 1 out of 6 chance of just winning, which isn't great, it's not very good, and you have a 5 out of 6 chance of immediately losing. But if you think about this, when you stroll, you can only move forward 1 space at a time. So in order to get from spot 3 to spot 5 and win the game, you have to stroll successfully twice. Now, each time you stroll, you only have a 1 out of 3 chance of moving forward, and you have a 2 out of 3 chance of moving backwards. So in order to get from point 3 to point 5, you have to roll 5 or 6 twice, which is a 1/3 times a 1/3 chance, which is a 1 out of 9 chance of it occurring, right? 1/9 is less than 1/6, so maybe we should sprint. However, it's more complicated than that, because what happens if we fail at strolling here? Well, we move back one space, but we're still in the game. We can still feasibly move forward twice and then make it to the end, rather than just falling off. If we sprint from here, it's all or nothing, all right? Similarly, if we move forward and we move back, we're right back to where we started. So the odds are difficult to compute in that way, because theoretically we could be moving forward and backwards infinitely until the end of time. It's not likely that we were able to do that, but it's possible. And so how do we quantify what the probabilities are? Well, I've come up with a solution that I think is sufficient to approximate the probabilities here. I kind of just made it up, and I don't know if there's like a formal thing about this shit, but I'm going to explain what I did, and I'm going to use it in the framework of this game, so hopefully you'll understand what's going on. So, here's what we're going to do. Here's the solution that I came up with to compute these probabilities. Well, what I do is we start off with the most obvious answers. I want to know, from any of these positions, what are our chances of winning? Well, two of these positions are pretty obvious. Well, it's Eternal Damnation. We have a 0% chance of winning from this position because we've already lost the game. Similarly, we have a 100% chance of winning from position 5 because we've already won the game. That's the win condition, right? But filling in the blanks here is a little more tricky. Well, what I did is I started off by just putting 0% for all of these. That's going to make sense as to why in a second here. Now I have these two different, rows here. I have stroll and I have sprint. And what I want to do is I want to compute for each of these positions, what are our chances of winning if we stroll versus if we sprint, all right? And I'm going to try to approximate that doing this, all right? So first of all, let's fill in the obvious values for stroll. It's a 0% chance if we're already burning in hell, and a 100% chance if we've already got our dollar. But let's go to position 4. Let's say that our guy was in position 4 here. What are our chances of winning from this position? Well, it's a 33% chance based on what we've pre-populated for this row. Why is that? Well, we have a 33% chance to move forward one space, in which case we have a 100% chance of winning according to this row. So that's 33% times 100%, that's 33%. And we have a 2/3 chance of moving back one space, in which case we move to spot 3. And according to this row, spot 3 has a 0% chance of winning. So overall, for now, we're approximating, we're saying, I think we have about a 33% chance to win from position 4. Now, this number is going to change over time. This isn't our final answer, but this is what we're going to do for now, okay? Now, we're going to move back. It'll make a little more sense as we continue on. We're going to move back to this position. This one, we have a 0% chance to win still, because we can move forward one space, and this has a 0% chance to win. We move backwards one space, this has a 0% chance to win. Same thing with 2. And we do the same thing with sprint. So we put 0% there and 100% up here. And let's compute what our chances of winning are if we sprint from position 4. Well, all of a sudden, we have a 17% chance to win because there is a 1 out of 6 chance that we move here. I'm not counting overshooting. If you overshoot it, you still win. And we have a 5/6 chance to move back to spot 2. All right? And here we have a 0% chance of winning. So 17% is 1/6, so we have a 1/6 chance of winning from spot 4. Now let's do the same thing here. From position 3, we either jump forward 2 or we jump backwards 2. It's just win or lose. And there's a 1 out of 6 chance that we win and a 5 out of 6 chance that we lose. This number will actually stay constant throughout this entire process. And down here it's 0%, all right? We jump forward 2 or we jump backwards 2. Now once again, kind of overshooting on a loss, we're just counting that as a loss, all right? So you can still sprint from position 2, even though you're technically supposed to move backwards twice, all right? So we have all of these computed. Now what do we do? Well, what we want to do is we want to actually update these values up here and then recompute, all right? Now it'll become clear why later, but what we want to do is we want to update this with the maximum value between these two actions that we can take. Okay? So what we know is that from position 4, we have a 33% chance of winning because 33% is greater than 17%, and we're going to carry the color up to this row to remind us of which decision, which strategy we used to get this likelihood of winning. So in this case, if we stroll from this position, we have a 33% chance of winning. Now we do the same thing here. We have a 17% chance of winning if we sprint from position 3. 0% chance if we stroll, so we bring up the 17% and we say we have a 17% chance to win from here, and we want to sprint from this position right now. Here they're all 0%, so we just keep it 0%, etc. Now, let's repeat the process, wipe our board clean, and let's do the exact same thing, but now let's pull our numbers from this updated row. So before this was 0%, and this was 0%, but now this is 33%, and this is 17%. Okay, well, let's recompute. Well, here, this is now 39% because it's 1/3 chance to move forward with 100%, so it's 33% still. But now we have a 2/3 chance to move backwards like before, but now it's 17% chance to win from position 3 when we sprint. So now there's 2/3 times 17%, and so that gives us our total odds of 39% chance to win from here if we stroll. Because if we move backwards, we still have the opportunity to win, and apparently our chances of winning from this position are 17%, okay? We do the same thing here. Now this is 11% instead of 0% because we have a 1/3 chance to move to position 4, and from position 4 we have a 33% chance of winning. 1/3 of 33%, that's 11%, because when we move backwards, it's still a 0% chance of winning. And so there you go, 11% chance to win from position 3 if we stroll. 6% chance now because 1/3 to move here, 17%, 2/3 to move here, 0% chance. All right, so 6% chance of winning. We do the same thing with sprint, so 17% still because we're still moving back 2 spaces, and this is still a 0% chance to win. 17% chance here, forward 2, backwards 2. And this one is now 6% because we move forward 2 spaces to the 4, and that's a 33% chance to win when we stroll, and otherwise we die, in damnation. And then we take the maximum again. So in this case, this is 39%, this is still 17%, and then down here, this is now 6%. And we leave it white because they're tied at this point. Now what's going to happen if we keep doing this over and over again, you kind of see that we're taking this 100%, we're kind of propagating it down the row. And what's actually going to happen if we continually do this over and over and over again is these values are going to converge on a specific number. And that number is going to be an approximation for the actual percentage chance of winning from that position. All right? If we keep doing this over and over and over again, this is what we end up with. All right? And this is the final answer for your odds of winning from any position and what you should do. Well, from position 4, you have a 47% chance to win. And you do this by strolling. All right? From position 3, you have a 21% chance to win. And you do that by strolling from here. That's our best action. And from position 2, you have an 8% chance to win. But instead, you want to sprint from this position. Now, this makes sense because there's no reason to sprint when you're in position 4 because you can only move forward 1 space anyway. So you're just reducing your likelihood of moving forward by sprinting and increasing your downside when you fail, right? So you might as well stroll here. From here, it kind of makes sense to sprint because you can lose here by strolling as well, and you move up 2 spaces if you sprint successfully, right? It's a 1 out of 6 chance, but you can see here it takes us to a 47% chance of winning versus a 21% chance of winning here. So we want to sprint from this position, and then in the middle we want to stroll because it lets us move up to this position where we have a 47% chance of winning, or move back to an 8% chance of winning. But overall, it's going to be better, marginally better than our 17% chance of winning with a sprint from position 3. So that's kind of what happens. These values converge to specifics, to specific values, and that's our overall win percentage as well as which decision we want to make in any given position. Now, the reason that this is happening is because we're essentially approximating taking the limit of the kind of movement function. Now, you can kind of think of like our decision between, like taking the max between strolling and sprinting as being a function, and we're taking the limit as x approaches infinity. Now, you can think of x as kind of being the sequences of bets, so like the length of certain bets that just kind of bounce back and forth, right? So technically, as I said earlier, you can bounce between like position 3 and position 4 over and over and over again infinitely, but the chances of that happening are super, super low, right? And the longer that sequence gets, the lower that the percentage chance that it occurs is. And so what we're essentially doing is we're saying, all right, well, let's take all of these kind of fringe circumstances, and as the length of those fringe circumstances approaches infinity, they're going to kind of approach 0, and so the overall probability from any given position is going to approach a certain number. Now, I'm not going to kind of get into how to compute all this shit, because honestly, with the shit that I'm doing with all the different bets and stuff, I don't even know how to exactly. And so taking the actual limit just sounds like a pain in the ass. So I just made the computer do the work, and we approximated it, and we did a good enough job of approximating this limit. So basically what I'm doing, to reiterate, is that I kind of start off with a pre-populated array of values. So all of the different dollar amounts, I say, all right, we have our target where we have a 100% chance of success. We have a 0% chance of success for everything else. And then based on those numbers, we compute the values. We go through every single bet, and we say, all right, well, if we bet this amount with this kind of bet, what are the different places that we can end up at, and what is the likelihood that we move forward or backwards? Just like with the board game, and we reference those pre-populated values, all right? So we compute these new values, and we store those new values that we just computed, replacing that initial array that I had before, and then we recompute based on the stored values. Once again, just like what I described earlier with the board game, this time though, instead of just having stroll or sprint, we have every single possible bet that we could make from any dollar amount, okay? And then we keep doing this and recomputing and storing the best bet and storing the next best bet, etc. And we stop when we don't see any change in the odds out to a certain number of digits, i.e. out to a certain precision amount. So in this case, I did it, I think, to the third or like fourth decimal place. And then I said, okay, that's good enough. We have like 4 significant figures. We don't see any changes between this iteration and the next one. It's good enough. We've found our values. So that's kind of what I did here, all right? And it seemed to work pretty well. So if there's a better way of doing this, let me know. I'm all ears, but works well enough. I don't know. There might be some shit about this online, this technique, but it's just what I thought of to do, okay? Now, pass and DP, or double penetration, with odds was a little bit tricky, all right? And that's because odds bets are only going to be available after you have established a point when you bet on the pass line or the don't pass line. So the bets are kind of dependent on each other, right? So the way that we have to handle this, because they're not independent bets, is we have to do this. We have to go through essentially every possible pass bet that we can make. This also applies to don't pass, by the way, so just assume that I'm also talking about don't pass. But we have to go through every single pass bet that we could possibly make. So for example, if my bankroll is $50, I have to consider every pass bet from like $5 to $50. $5 because the table minimum is going to be $5, right? So we go through every single one of those, and then we calculate the odds of winning or losing on the come-out roll, all right? So on the come-out roll, you have a 22% chance to immediately win if you roll a 7 or an 11, when you're betting on the pass line. as opposed to an 11% chance of immediately losing if you get a craps number, all right? And so what we do is we basically say, all right, well, what is... We go to the new positions assuming that we win the pass bet, right? We take that win amount and we multiply it by 22%, and then we add that to the new losing win percent chance multiplied by 11%, okay? And that's going to be our starting kind of win or loss chance, because then what we have to do is we have to add on to this. And the way that we do this is we have to go through every possible point set. So I'm talking about 4 or 10, 5 or 9, 6 or 8, okay? So we go through those three possibilities, and we find the best bet amount for odds. So we basically say, all right, we have $50, we bet $25 on the pass line. We now have up to $25 that we can place in odds, right? So what is up to $25, what is going to be the optimal bet amount in odds, given that the point is like a 4, right? And so we're going to go through and we're going to find the one that maximizes our win percent chance, okay? And so what we have to do is we have to do that for every point number, and we have to find the bet amount, the best bet amount, and we multiply the best win probability for each point, given that we made that odds bet, by the chance that we get to that point. So for example, we can't just take the average, because 6 or 8 is more likely to occur as the point than a 4 or a 10. So we have to multiply the odds that we get to that point by our win percent chance, given that we, that point is set. All right, so we do that for all the different points, and we add that to the winning or losing on the come out calculation that we did earlier. And then we kind of get an aggregate chance of winning, given all possibilities when you make a pass bet with odds, all right? And it's the same fucking thing with don't pass, all right? It's kind of a nightmare, but this might sound like a bunch of gobbledygook to you, but hey, I tried to explain it the best I could, and it seems to work pretty well. So there you go, there you go. But anyway, that's about a wrap. Let me know what you think. I had a fun time with this video. I hope you found it interesting, and let me know if you have any questions down in the comments. So I will talk to you all later. Bye bye.